Yeah, absolutely excited to have Joe, one half of the duo Big Special. Man, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to day. How have things been for you?
All good, thank you, Matt. We've been very busy. Thanks for having me today, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess maybe the easiest place to start is, for maybe folks in the States who haven't really heard your music. How would you describe the music you guys are making?
Um, we always struggle with that a bit. I think every artist don't like trying to describe their stuff there, but like we always say like the quick answer's punk, but I think that's just like the bowl, and then we just put a
Yeah.
lot of stuff in there, as well, like as and when we fancy it, you know what I mean? Or
Hmm.
it comes to us. I just think the bass level's punk because of the setup of like just the vocals and the drums and us making tracks and stuff for it. But I think there's a lot of soul and blues in there, and the big focus is like the poetry and stuff like that. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so I
I think
should
that's a pretty,
say, well, we're just a straight up rock band, really, and just like have that as like
yeah.
with brackets.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's a pretty fair description. It feels like even nowadays, right? Like to try to put yourself into one specific genre is it's too hard, and genres blend together in every
Yeah, I
which
feel like
way.
into like more of a vibe thing nowadays than a strict set of rules. Do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? I think it's
Yep.
just an example of what we liked, and that comes through whenever we're making anything.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like what music did you grow up on? What music were like your parents listening to, and then when you found your own space to listen to music, what'd you gravitate towards?
Well, my parents were music fans when they were kids, but like like most people, like they didn't carry it through
Mm.
life. I had the stuff like with my dad, my biological dad, who went to see like it was a lot of the old blues rock invasion kind of stuff. Free Paul Rogers, like that's still one of my favorite bands, like Jimi Hendrix and all that. And then like back at home with like my mum and stuff. I always say I was raised on greatest hits compilations, so we had
Yeah.
like. The main one, I think the first music I ever loved was Queen's Greatest Hits #1. That's what got me into music. Like,
Yeah.
but we had like
Yeah. I love
Abigail,
that.
like some Michael Jackson like compilation and like a bunch of old like soul compilations and stuff like that, some movie soundtracks and stuff. And it was all that sort of stuff that got me into
Yeah.
it. And then I got YouTube as a teenager, and that's when I started like my own like journey of like getting into music and stuff,
Mhm.
which was through Hendrix, I think, really doing Hear My Trainer Coming, the acoustic version. That made me want to look into like more solo acoustic blues stuff. And because I had YouTube, I was a teenager and stuff, like you could just type stuff in. So found a load
Yeah.
of old, like Delta blues stuff. And I had the Oh Brother Where Art Thou soundtrack, and so I loved all that like gospel blues stuff. And then that led to like early Dylan solo guitar stuff, which led to the late Johnny Cash stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, Towns Van Zandt, Joni Mitchell, all them sad people. But and like yeah, and then on the soul side of stuff, it was Nina Simone, Greatest Hits, which was like that was like still probably one of my favorite albums.
Yeah.
Nina Simone's like love of my life, and Tom Waits, which I found off like movie soundtracks and stuff like that. Found like little bits and bobs of Tom Waits, and then he become like my ultimate hero, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it's funny you listen to like all that stuff and you guys end up on like a very punk sound, which is
yeah,
super interesting. But I mean I think I went through the same type of thing. Like definitely had the Queen greatest hits on at one point in a school of kids wearing like Pink Floyd and the Doors t-shirts. I was wearing Queen t-shirts, so it's um it's interesting to say the least.
it's way to go, man. Like, it was a body of work, like that
Oh, do I
first.
still have you?
Oh yeah, you still got me.
Yeah, I think I still got you. Okay. I think I lost you for a half second, but we're good now. You're
Oh,
back. Uh
yeah, body of
yeah,
work on
so
that first Greatest Hits of Queen is just like phenomenal. You know what I mean?
yeah. So you guys have your second studio album out called National Average.
Uh-huh.
That came out in the summer. So maybe give us like an overarching kind of story behind it, the themes that you guys kind of touch on, and
Yeah, it's like
how you're feeling about it.
well, it's like the first album and stuff, and just like for the love of albums in general, it's like My main love is a song, but like my second is an album. So it's like whenever we do an album, we want it to be that and not just like a
Nice.
playlist of tunes and stuff. And I always like to think of stuff in like movie structures and things like that. So we had the first album, which we did, which in my head was like this movie about like desperation and stuff like that. And in my head, like for the second one, it was like this album about like confusion and that, and like moving forward, and just want to like represent us as we go. So like I'd say like the main theme of the second one is that like it's about the average life, which is what we lived for 30 years, but on the personal side, it's about how that average life is moving further and further away from us. Like we're navigating the things that we do navigate creatively, like I suppose we're a bit more wrapped up in ourselves and like what's happening to us and stuff. And we just want to represent ourselves as we go. And I think it's just this, the sequel to the first album in that way. It's like that was the setup of us getting to this point, and then this second album is just like reflecting on that a little bit and just how we relate to the lives we come from and how those sorts of lives relate outwardly anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, it's definitely a good reflection of, like you said, that past, and almost like maybe this new space that you guys have kind of found as well, right? So I think after listening through it, I think my favorite song off of it is a song called "God Save the Pony," and I would love to hear the story behind that one, and what kind of what it kind of means and what went into it.
In a nutshell, it's just about struggle, really. It's about how everyone's got a struggle, like whatever it is, and I was thinking about how personal art like relates outward, like to people, you know what I mean, who don't have the same experience. And I've never ever thought that you need to have the same experience to relate to a feeling of something. So like God Save the Pony is like basically going over like that we've got a new struggle, that's, be it small or whatever, like, it's personal, and just that about how everyone's got a struggle, God save the pony, the pony's the thing that drags the load, so it's just God's, hope you're okay. Hope you've got some help with whatever wagon you're dragging,
Yeah.
And
when you guys kind of approach songwriting, is it something? Is it a very collaborative experience between the two of you? Or are you guys including other people in on that? What does that kind of look like for you?
we manage right along, like, so we tend to like, get into a room together and jam, like, on the drums or like a guitar or bass or something, and just record like a massive jamming stuff, really.
Yeah.
And this last one, we had our producer Mike as well. He come and joined us with the jamming as well. And so we'll do that, and then we'll like take bits that we like and kind of like bring in that hip hop element of like the production into how we make stuff. Is that we'll just chop and change bits from the jamming then, like, and create some sort of song structure to work with or go back over. And then, especially with this second album, I use those song structures then as like a base to write lyrics to, or if I had notes and stuff like that, I'd consolidate some notes and bits, or sometimes if I had like a full set of lyrics, and that we'd create them structures from the jams that we recorded.
Gotcha.
To fit that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we haven't really got much room for looseness and improvisation on the stage because of playing to the track and stuff.
Yeah.
But when it's in the studio, that's pretty much the whole basis of how we do stuff. That we thrive off like the improvisation and still like just the love of like picking up a couple of instruments and like jamming together.
Yeah.
We tend not to come up with too many guidelines or constraints of like what we're going to do or what the plan is. We just tend to play and go with what we get. And I think the way that we put stuff together with our producer Mike, and just like the soul of what we do is the thread that like connects the music, like, or connects the different songs, rather than like a strong theme or like genre theme or like that. I think it's the way we put stuff together that is the cohesive thing. So we tend not to like think about it too much, really. If we set anything, we'll set a constraint. So like that holds us back from stuff a bit, really, because again, using electronic stuff and knowing we haven't got to recreate most of the instruments on stage. You could
Mhm.
do it fuck you want, like, you know. So it's so we tend to like put a limitation on ourselves a bit. Like we're going to use these few instruments, or we're going to use you know, whatever, rather than saying what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
We just go for it, like, yeah.
Do you think the way you kind of put those songs in the album together, does that translate better to a live show for you guys? Like having that ability to, you know, kind of jam through certain things, and you know, obviously you could backtrack anything, like you said. Does that make a better live performance for you guys, you think?
It just makes it better in general, really. There's just a bit
Yeah.
more of how we like to make music in there. And again, like in the modern day and money and all that sort of stuff, it's like it was never realistic for us to find like a 4-piece band that's, you know, all touching 30 and want the same things from life and ain't got the
Right.
same rights and responsibilities and blah, blah, blah. We
Yeah.
always say if we had one other member, we wouldn't be making a living, you know.
Right.
So, like, it keeps the spontaneity in that you know, the love of playing music is in there still, like at the point, and it's captured. It's what's played on stage that is that point where we captured it, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And then we play along to that on stage. We know we won't do that forever, you know. It's like we've never set out to say Big Special is any sort of concrete thing. We're just pragmatic, and we use what we've got and use the context of how we're doing stuff in the making of the music. You know, we don't just record this stuff and then play it on track on stage and just pretend there's a band there. You know, if
Mm.
if we're using tracks on stage, we will act accordingly and make electronic music. Do you know what I mean? It makes
Yeah.
sense. You know what I mean? Like we like,
Yeah.
you know, hip hop influenced production and stuff like that. With that, how we put stuff together, but we just start at a point of like a punk or like a rock band, and we turn that into what it is.
Mm.
So it makes sense, like contextually on stage and still fits and all that. And we split up all our tracks on stage, and it's all mixed like a full band, and that's so like the sound's still like this big scope
Right.
of sound rather than just playing like a stereo track or something.
Sure.
So it's like, yeah, it's just been trying to find that middle line between like an electronic band and like a live rock band, you know, like something
Mm.
that makes sense on both sides that we can go forward and do, and basically not paint ourselves into a corner like creatively. You know, we want to always be free to do what we feel like at the time, because we feel like
Yeah.
that's the most. And as a music fan myself, you know, that's when I feel most respected, is when the artist is making what they want to make rather than making a product, you know, of what they're expected to do, you know.
Yeah. 100%. So I'm kind of curious, as someone, I mean, obviously, you know, not super familiar. What does the punk scene look like in the UK? Like, what are some bands that like kind of drive the scene? You know, maybe apart from you guys.
Man, I couldn't say I'm too like clued in with like scenes and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? I am a
Yeah.
big fan, and I've been finding it a bit harder recently to listen to like music that's coming out right now while we're
Yeah.
being busy and focused on stuff. And I've just been down a rabbit hole, like listening to like old music for like comfort and that, rather than
Mhm.
listening to new music and then inevitably analyze how the scene's going and blah blah blah.
Sure. Yeah. That's fair.
Yeah, there's loads, you know, like Sleaford Mods are a big influence to us on that kind of sound and that kind of like attitude and that like class awareness of stuff and things like that. Cal's a lot more into lots of different punk stuff. But there's loads, man. You know, there's a band called Gans that are a young band from the same area as us who are doing really well. But you know, yeah, there's like a big punk scene, you know, around the UK off the back of like Idols and stuff. And obviously there's a bunch of others as well at the time, but it's probably become a bit oversaturated, really. You know, there's a lot of that stuff. But it is good, you know what I mean? Like it's just nice to see that. There's a band called Benefits as well, they were really love, and they were early on very political like band, and they were good to us and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, there's fucking loads of it, like, you know.
Yeah. Do you guys find it, so obviously apart from, you know, making music that you love, but doing the live shows and things like that, do you find the inherent like social media side of music to be exhausting? Is it like something you guys like doing? Is it, I mean, obviously it's like a necessary evil at this point, but how do you guys
Yeah,
kind of approach that?
it's one of them, and it's always nice getting that like instant gratification for stuff, which is why, you know, everyone is on it. But yeah, it's weird, you know, you never like get into music to think that you're gonna have to like promote yourself all the time. But we tend not to. We have a guy called Izzy who's like been with us from the start, who's a photographer, and he's a good friend of ours, and he helps out with loads of stuff, and he's basically like the drum tech now as well. And like he goes around everywhere with us, so we've always got like footage of us doing our thing
Sure.
rather than always having to create like content or stuff like that. So, we're not massive on social media or anything, but like we've always tended to stick to like just using it as a way to just show what we do. And hopefully that push people to what we actually do, which is the records and the shows,
Yeah.
rather than get too lost in the source like with it. Because I think ultimately it doesn't translate, You can see someone with like 100,000 followers and stuff, but if that's just on that platform, that remains on that platform. I'm not seeing it translate much to selling a record or filling out a room. Whereas we've got like 20,000 or something, but they're just people who've found us like on the way, and like, we do fill out the rooms and we do sell the records, and on that platform we just like, we take the piss out of it a bit and we just show what we do, pictures of us playing, stuff like that, and treat it as like a bit of a gallery for what we do, really. We
Yeah.
don't bank a lot of stuff and hold it back. It's like, if Izzy's took a lot of footage from a certain gig, we'll put it all up and be like, this was this gig. See you at the next one, you know what I mean? And it's just like a
Yeah.
nice archive of what we've been doing then, rather than some like, toxic fucking bucket of anxiety, It still is that, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, it's weird.
100%.
It's a weird thing. And you can definitely get lost in it at times. And especially when you do something, you're like, oh, this one didn't really get any attention, but this other one I did that wasn't really about much did get attention. And I don't know how it works. I'm just trying to push my band.
Yeah.
So, but like you say, it's part and parcel. If we want to do this job, this is the way it goes. And you just got, you got to get involved, don't you? It's like,
Yeah.
wherever you work, you got to catch the bus. So it's just like another version of that, really. And it's just one of the bits you got to do.
Yeah. Yeah. It is funny, how it's just become such a, yeah, you're right. Like just part of the gig, I guess. So when you guys, kind of going back to the album and to songwriting, is all of your songwriting like informed based on like, your personal experiences? Is it something that you're drawing from everyday life and kind of, putting that into the music, or are you kind of world building around, like a feeling, so to speak?
No, I think probably a bit of both. I'd say it's 90% like personal experience that I try and dress up like poetically. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
I like the contrast of the mundane dressed up like in some sort of grand way. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
finding some mad way to say a simple thing. Because that's the craft, that's the love of the craft, and the love of the art is what it's about. The love of the craft is how you tell that, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'd say it's always about personal experience. Again, it was a quote from Nina Simone I heard, which I love, saying it's like the artist's job to represent their time, the time that they're in. But I think there's no better way than representing the time you're in than just fucking talking about yourself. If
Yeah.
you're honest and connected and stuff like that, then the best representation of a time is a person. And then if you're open to, I try and be open to like, if it's about me, then it's about you as well. Do you know what I mean? Because we're
Sure.
all in the same place, doing the same thing, hearing the same news, all that sort of
Yeah.
stuff. So it's like, even if your experience is unique, the feeling is never unique. The
Yeah.
feeling is, probably never ever unique. That comes through anything.
Yeah.
It's why I think it's why there is so much like spoken word punk stuff in Britain now, is because probably like an influence of like American hip hop, and that is, if you switched on, that if you're an English white guy, you probably can't do American hip hop, like, you know what I mean?
All right.
I think like the influence like not dilutes, but like trickles down through stuff, and it's like, I feel like this spoken word English punk or British punk or whatever is the way we do the thing we loved, that was it we found in American hip hop music, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And like I said, the experience isn't the same, but the feeling is the same,
100%. Yeah. Yeah. I love that idea that you're right. Like, yeah, there's no feeling you're going to have is going to be unique to yourself, but yeah, the experience will surely be different, right? Nobody's living your life, but the feeling
Yeah.
won't ever be different. Yeah, that's so true, honestly. So one question I like asking is, let's hypothetically say you were, teaching a music class, right? What are 4 albums that would be like required listening for said class?
Yeah. Okay. 4 albums required listening.
And
Going
this is just
going
like,
off what is like important to me, like learning how
yeah,
to.
yeah, 100%.
I'd say Nina Simone's greatest hits.
Mhm.
Um, Johnny Cash, American Recordings, #1. Um, Orphans, Brawlers and Bastards. Is that what it's called? It's got a fucking mad name. Orphans, Brawlers and Bastards by Tom Waits.
Mm.
And #4. I'm going to be missing off like a million
No,
either.
you're fine. Yeah, it's okay.
I'll probably say Blood Sugar Sex Magic by Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a solid mix for sure. That is a super solid mix. That's interesting. That's like such a unique question because everybody's different. Everybody's influence or what people feel is important because you know music is such this subjective uh thing, right? So the
There's
next,
I could have said that were just as important. Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Probably.
100%. Yeah, it's like an impossible task to have to pick just four. But that's how we live it, I guess. So in terms of your guys' music, right? What is a song you know probably released that you guys are most proud of, or you specifically are most proud of?
I'd say Dig, which is the closing track off our first album, and we also close every show with it. And like for the first album, like really had this idea of it wanting to be like a film structure, not follow a story like a film does or anything like that, but just feel like the movement of a narrative. So I really wanted to write an intro and an outro, you know, a beginning
Yeah,
and an ending. And we've
sure.
even got like a bit in the middle, you know, supposed to feel like a bit like an interlude and stuff like that, without spelling it all out. And Dig is like the purpose built closer. You know, it was supposed to feel like the triumphant moment, like the moment of realization, or I always said in my head, it's like the end of the film where the hero comes home, like going back over the hill and sees where he's from and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but reversed. You know what I mean? Like he's
Mhm.
fucking going over that fucking hill. But so yeah, there's always like an emotional feeling, I think, to when we play that still. And it's the one we've heard from a lot of people, like that it's had an emotional reaction with them. And we've had like 60-year-old old punk geezers and stuff come up to us at gigs saying like, I ain't cried for 20 years and that song just made blah at the back of the room and stuff like that. Sorry,
Yeah.
blatting, crying. Where I'm from. um, you know, yeah, I think I think I'll always feel like close to that tune and feel like proud that we did something like that. We played
Yeah.
it. We did an event to raise money for Palestine recently with Billy Bragg
Yeah.
at Brixton Academy in London, and Brian Eno was there to do a talk, like he read and stuff. But he stood side stage and watched us play, and he come up to us after and was talking about the song Dig, like, and he kept saying how much he loved this song. And me and Cal standing there thinking like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, Brian, you know, I was like praising
Yeah.
that, and so that was another nice moment that song's
Yeah.
given us.
I love that. Uh, yeah, I mean, to anytime you can affect people, right, like directly with your music, that has to be such a genuinely good feeling.
That's what's happened. That's what happened to us. You know what I mean? Like with the music
Mm.
we love and that, you know, it's the best thing ever, isn't it? When you find some sort of art that just makes you feel different or better than you did the day before, and then you've always got it then.
Yeah,
So if you can achieve that, like, you know, you to someone else, then you're doing the job right, ain't you?
yeah. So you've talked about too how you've kind of been listening to older stuff, but usually I ask, you know, a song or a project that you've just really been into recently.
A new one or anything.
It doesn't have to be new; it could be anything. Yeah.
I've just been really getting into Doc Watson.
Okay.
You know, Doc Watson, old folky.
Yeah, yeah. I know what you're talking about.
A bunch of his stuff, and an old blues guy called Abner J, who played like an electrified 6-string banjo and like had like a tambourine and a drum on his feet.
Yeah,
And there's not much people listening to him, I don't think. But there's an album by him called The True Story of Abner J. It's just like a bunch of his tunes, really rough. There's one called I'm So Depressed. There's one called Cocaine. You know, one called
yeah,
Vietnam. It's all that sort of stuff. And
yeah,
I just love it. Like, yeah, I've just been going over and over that stuff and listening to the old like outlaw country stuff like Blaze Foley and Townes Van Zandt
yeah.
and all that. But yeah,
Love that.
modern stuff. There's a band called Gans that we know, and they have their debut album out called Good for the Soul.
Mm.
which they're like a alt rock, like punk 2-piece. You got the
Yeah.
one guy playing bass and like got a little craft workstation, and then the guy on the drum, and they both sing and share like the lead man
Yeah.
duties and stuff, and they're just fucking brilliant, man. They're really great live set as well. Like they're up and coming, like they're going to be massive.
Love that. I love that. So, in kind of wrapping up too, maybe just kind of talk about what you have coming up. I think
Mm-hmm.
got an LA show coming up at some point, right? Just kind of talk about what you guys got coming up and what everybody can kind of be excited about.
Yeah, we're out there. We're out in America in a couple of weeks, coming over. We're supporting public service broadcasting on their tour, and then we're doing like a couple of little gigs of our own as well out there. And then we've got some more music coming out as well, and big tour back in the UK in February. The biggest one we've done, like for the size of the venues and stuff. And we're just gonna keep putting out music and playing shows and doing our thing and trying, like, just like root ourselves in enough
Yeah.
that like we won't disappear if we stop for a minute. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I hear that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got to root yourself into being everybody's mind.
Mm-hmm.
Well, man, I appreciate you taking time out of your day and
Problem, man. Thanks for
look forward to hearing the new music.
Thank you very much, man.
Yeah.
Nice talking to you.
Nice
Have a
talking to
good
you.
one.
You too.